Hey guys, how's it going? Today it's December 25th. It's a Tuesday, the day after Christmas. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas yesterday. Just got a bunch of clothes, new pair of bibs. Pretty nice. Sweatshirts, all kinds of stuff. Parts of my truck. Our main skid loader, the Gale, it's got some oil leaks that need fixed. And it's leaking pretty bad. There's a place inside the boom. We gotta pull hoses out and fix, and then down and under the cab again there's another leak. We had to fix one down there in the summer, and we're hoping it's not the same line that we replaced. It's looking that way, that might be that same line leaking again, so I don't know. But the 2090, it's occupying the shop right now. I've been working on it every little chance I can have time to work on it, but fixing the wiring harness up. It had a place here where there was a piece of hose here sticking around it, and I remember one time I just washed it, and I think we were down there feeding with it, and I heard this noise. It was like something arcing. Well, I got to looking here, the wires were rubbed through. It was arcing against the block on the engine here, and I didn't realize how much damage it did at the time. I know my dad had fixed it up and taped it up and put that piece of hose on it so it didn't rub through again, but I tore that hose off and got to looking, and the one wire was almost completely missing. It was frayed that much just from arcing and whatnot, and pretty much all the rest of the wires were rubbed through. It had all the coating rubbed off the wires and everything. So I went through and fixed it right. I put a new piece of wire in here, connected it, and taped each individual wire up that was rubbed through, taped them all together, and now I gotta go through and put some of the conduit stuff I got on this wiring harness to keep it from rubbing through again. I have the positive cable unhooked going from the battery to the starter, so there's no power going to the tractor while I was working on it. None of these wires could be arcing together and, you know, starting the tractor, doing stuff like that. I got this stuff here. I know there's a couple different names for it. I think they call it wire loom. It's from Alex Tech. It's from Amazon. They put it in these nice, like resealable, like kind of like Ziploc bags. It's pretty nice. I think this might be 1/2 inch right here in my hand. I got some 3/4 inch right here, and I got some 1 inch to do the wiring harness beside the engine up there. So I got plenty of stuff here. I just need to take the time to slip that over top of the wiring harness. I'd started working on that wiring harness on that tractor again for a little bit this morning. Put that job off till later today. We come up here to the heifer farm, working at feeding everybody. There's some silage left in here for the steers. We bring a couple scoops in with the skid loader and dump it here, and then shovel it into the feed trough here. And we top dress it with high moisture corn. So they're taken care of, the steers are. Just got this pen out front, 2 pens out front. They need silage, 1 pen needs hay. So I get this wagon pulled out, dump some more silage in here for the steers. Dad's working it, feeding with the tractor. Down back here at the feed trough. Silage taken into the steers. Now I got to work at dumping some in this upper pen up here. We actually started feeding out of our second ag bag out there in the field. That corn silage was from not this past harvest, but the year before, the harvest from the year before. and then we filled the trench like we normally do this year. But the year before, the trench still had feed in it, still had corn silage in it from that year, because I think we had some extra down at home that we were trying to get fed up, and it was starting to get old. So we didn't end up opening the trench up, therefore we couldn't fill it, so we put some bags out there. It's nothing but a mess out there. We've been getting a bunch of rain. It's been warm, so the ground hasn't froze up. It's just a mess everywhere you look from all the rain that we've been getting, but nothing we can really do about it, so kind of deal with it. I'll be glad when we get those bags fed up out there, because out there on that topsoil, it's just real smeary and you can't get around very good with the skid loader. That's why Dad's using the tractor. But you may have noticed a couple videos back, we got some new tires on this skid loader. I had gotten a comment some time ago, said that the tires looked like they were gonna need replaced, and they were. They actually blew out. I think we had 2 of them blow out. So we got 4 new tires and 4 new rims for this skid loader, because the old rims had rusted out. I guess if we keep it cleaner, that won't happen, but it's constantly getting used in the mud and stuff. This coming summer, I hope to maybe do some excavating the skid loader if I get a chance, and get things graded off so the water doesn't lay around and create mud holes like we're dealing with up here. It would be nice to have concrete out back, but I don't know how well that would work, because it's soft out there. We would have to get it good and packed real hard to lay concrete out there, or else the concrete's just gonna break up over time, and it just wouldn't be worth it. Anyways, these guys here, they got some corn silage left over, so I won't have to give them a whole lot. Manure's getting built up in the pens. Can't get out in the fields because it's too wet to get out there and spread. So we've been just putting a bunch of bedding in. We put some bedding in here. It was on Friday, I believe, and you can see how well that worked. Still some dry stuff here, but that pen over there, they're gonna have to be bedded up soon along with this pen. It's hard to keep them dry, especially this time of year if it's not cold and freezing, if we're getting a lot of rain and just damp and stuff. So yeah, it's hard to keep good dry bedding in them right now. Got the forks on the skid loader, got to put some bales in. I never did finish telling you about the tires. These here are Beefy Baby Muddy Buddies, I think. We always put the Beefy Baby, I think the Galaxy 3s on this skid loader. I can't remember what they were called. I know they're Beefy Baby. But these here have a deeper tread, so you get a lot more traction. They've been working out pretty good. They make a skid loader useful, and you can get traction in places. But these bale forks here, years ago, we had some old forks on this. They're actually come down around and come this way. They have been broken so many times, and then we had broke the one off and just left them sit because they've been welded up and just got weak. Weren't really fixable, so what we did, we went through, torched all the old forks off, and then my dad and Papa made some brackets up, put some bale spears on here for a set of forks, and they work really nice. You can stab bales with them easy, and then you can also pick bales up. You can either stab them or get in under them and pick them up, your choice. They work really nice. You actually get 2 bales at a time. We could do that for old forks, but they ended up getting all bent up and stuff, so it wasn't very easy to do. Kind of something like that. It's the next day here now. Back to working on this 2090 again. Yesterday I had gotten this harness all done. The way these old case tractors are, they got wiring harness that runs up beside the engine here. So it gets power here from the starter, and then goes down. There's a couple different, I think there's solenoids or something down on the side of that thing down in there, and then the harness comes up out, and then goes to the front of the tractor here. So you got power going to the alternator, and then you also got power going to the lights and that, and it goes across here at your bell housing. Once it's on this side of the tractor, I don't know, it might be pretty hard to see, it's kind of dark up in there, but it comes over and there's a big plug right up in here, and then from there it comes up in the tractor, goes up through the floor there, and then it goes to the fuse panel. So I got that whole wiring harness covered clean over to where that comes up to that plug there. And then down here, these wires also go to that plug. For those wires, from the plug, these wires go up this corner post here, up to the top of the roof, and then it would go to the lights, your blower back at the back of the tractor, windshield wiper, light, radio, all your accessories. What I did was I had this 3/4 inch size. I ran that up in there and ran some down from the top. And then I was up on top of the cab, covered a bunch of those wires up. This tractor had some wiring problems. As I mentioned, it had rubbed through here in a place. And the harness was starting to get bad. The old style harness was this kind of stuff here. I don't know if you can tell. But now on the newer stuff, our 125, it's newer tractor, they use this kind of stuff on the wires. So I figured I might as well get through, redo the wiring on this tractor. That way I don't have to worry about there being any place rubbing through and then the tractor potentially catching fire. Which, after looking at this harness here where it was pretty bad, I have no clue what kept it from catching fire. I didn't realize it was that bad. I remember it arcing there one time, and then we fixed it up, but it was still pretty bad. The wires still could have arced together there. That's what had happened to the 5140 that burnt this summer. There had to have been a place in the wiring harness where it had rubbed through, and then it was just so hot that day it started arcing somewhere, and then it just eventually caught the wires on fire, and then from there it caught the whole tractor. It's pretty crazy how fast electrical fire can spread and burn your machine. But I'm hoping don't have to worry about this now. On our 2290, Marv had actually redone the wiring harness on it. We're using it to bag the one time. It's been years ago, I bet at least 7-8 years ago now. It had rubbed through the same place, I believe, right here by the starter, and it had actually caught fire. Luckily my dad and my uncle were standing there nearby, and they had gotten the power unhooked from the battery or a starter here somewhere, and got the fire out. But if nobody was around, it would have been the same case as what happened to the 5140. The tractor could have just as easily burnt. So that gives me a better feeling now that I know I have all the wiring fixed up. I'd never really give it a thought. Never really thought too much about the wiring and stuff on tractors until that 5140 burnt, and then from there on, now I'm just kind of paranoid. I'm always constantly checking wiring harnesses on machines and that, making sure there's no place that's rubbed through. But now that I got this stuff on this tractor, it shouldn't rub through. I think it was pretty common for these tractors to rub through either up here by the starter or as it goes over top of the bell housing there. It rubs through. The tractor right now, well, I have the battery unhooked, but when the battery's hooked up, the power comes to the fuse panel, and then from the fuse panel it would go wherever throughout the tractor. Now if there be a short somewhere from the fuse panel to where the wire is going, it should blow the fuse and shouldn't catch fire. But if it's from the battery to the fuse panel, somewhere where it's constantly hot, it's got to catch fire. So I got all that done. Now I'll crawl back up here and get things cleaned up again and put the roof back up on top of the tractor. So here's what things look like up on top. These older case tractors, they have this big plate that you take off. You can get to your condenser for your air conditioning, and then you get to right here speakers over here in the corners where this wiring harness comes up. You can see I went through and redid some of the wiring here. Wasn't rubbed through in any place, but I figured, you know what, I'm up here, might as well do it. So I got all that done now. I'm done in here. Need to blow this out, go with the air hose again after I take the drill and this wire brush here and clean up around the edge where this plate goes, and then we'll go through, put some silicone down, set the roof on, and seal it up good. It had drawed out and it looked like it pushed a good bit out, so that's good. I'll have to get a long rag or something and smooth it up, get it good and sealed up. Same thing with up here too, and then have to get this side here done. Looking good. It's definitely not an easy job being up here on top of the roof like this, doing all this, but I'm sure there's a way they could have designed this better, but I'm sure the new tractors are way better than what this is. This is a 1981, so I'm sure they've come a long ways over the years with different designs like this. But you have to get up top here to get into the condenser and whatnot. So it hasn't been opened up for years because the air conditioning don't work on this tractor. I just knew I wanted to get that wiring harness patched up and good to go.